I'm not even on the pitch. Text 46. Did you hear that? You watched that, right? You saw that mystic power? One who hears and... Excuse me.
We won't have to connect the cancer.
It is, actually. It is. One who hears in chants this narration about the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is certainly liberated from material bondage without fail. Text 47. Prahlad Maharaj was the best among exalted devotees. Anyone who with great attention hears this narration concerning the activities of Prahlad Maharaj, the killing of Hiranyakashipu, and the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nrsingadev, surely reaches the spiritual world where there is no anxiety. Text 48. Narada Muni continued, My dear Maharaj Yudhishthir, all of you, the Pandavas, are extremely fortunate, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, lives in your palace, just like a human being. Great saintly persons know this very well, and therefore they constantly visit this house. Purport. After hearing about the activities of Prahlad Maharaj, a pure devotee should be very anxious to follow in his footsteps. But such a devotee might be disappointed, thinking that not every devotee can come to the standard of Prahlad Maharaj. This is the nature of a pure devotee. He always thinks himself to be the lowest, to be incompetent and unqualified. Thus, after hearing the narration of Prahlad Maharaj's activities, Maharaj Yudhishthir, who was on the same standard of devotional service as Prahlad, might have been thinking of his own humble position. Narada Muni, however, could understand Maharaj Yudhishthir's mind, and therefore he immediately encouraged him by saying that the Pandavas were not less fortunate. They were as good as Prahlad Maharaj, because although Lord Nrsingadev appeared for Prahlad, the Supreme Personality of Godhead in its original form as Krishna was always living with the Pandavas. Although the Pandavas, because of the influence of Krishna's Yogamaya, could not think of their fortunate position, every saintly person, including the great sage Narada, could understand it, and therefore they constantly visited Maharaj Yudhishthir. Any pure devotee who is constantly conscious of Krishna is naturally very fortunate. The word nriloke, meaning within the material world, indicates that before the Pandavas there had been many, many devotees, such as the descendants of the Yadu dynasty, and Vasishta, Marichi, Kashyapa, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva, who were all extremely fortunate. The Pandavas, however, were better than all of them, because Krishna himself lived with them constantly. Narada Muni therefore specifically mentioned that within this material world, Nriloke, the Pandavas were the most fortunate. The impersonal Brahman is Krishna himself, because Krishna is the source of the impersonal Brahman. He is the origin of the transcendental bliss sought by great saintly persons, yet he, the Supreme Person, is your most dear friend and constant well-wisher, and is intimately related to you as the son of your maternal uncle. Indeed, he is always like your body and soul. He is worshipable, yet he acts as your servant and sometimes as your spiritual master. Purport. There is always a difference of opinion about the absolute truth. One class of transcendentalists concludes that the absolute truth is impersonal, and another class concludes that the Absolute Truth is a person. In Bhagavad Gita, the Absolute Truth is accepted as the Supreme Person. Indeed, the Supreme Person himself, Lord Krishna, instructs in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmano hi pratishtaham mattak paratanam nanyat. The impersonal Brahman is my partial manifestation, and there is no truth superior to me. That same Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, acted as the supreme friend and relative of the Pandavas, and sometimes he even acted as their servant by carrying a letter from the Pandavas to Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Because Krishna was the well-wisher of the Pandavas, he also acted as guru by becoming the spiritual master of Arjuna. Arjuna accepted Krishna as his spiritual master, Shishasteham, Shadimam, Twam, Prapanam. And Krishna sometimes chastised him. For example, the Lord said, Ashochanan Vashochas Twam, Priyavadang Jabashase. While speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. The Lord also said, Kutas Tva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samapashtitam. My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? Such was the intimate relationship between the Pandavas and Krishna. In the same way, a pure devotee of the Lord is always with Krishna through thick and thin. His way of life is Krishna. Shall I repeat that? In the same way, a pure devotee of the Lord is always with Krishna through thick and thin. His way of life is Krishna. This is the statement of the authority of Sri Narada Muni. Text 50.
Is there any indication where this is being discussed?
It didn't actually refer to a place, but it would have been Hastinapur. Where else would it have been? Yeah, where else would it have been? Mm. 50. Exalted.
From 7.1.13. Formerly, when Maharaj Yudhishthira was performing the Rajasuya sacrifice, Narada, responding to his inquiry, recited a story in this connection.
There you go.
That would be Hastinapur.
Hastinapur. Exalted 50. Exalted persons like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma could not properly describe the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. May the Lord, who is always worshipped as the protector of devotees by great saints who observe vows of silence, meditation, devotional service, and renunciation, be pleased with us. Purport. The Absolute Truth is sought by different persons in different ways, yet he remains inconceivable. Nonetheless, devotees like the Pandavas, the Gopis, the cowherd boys, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan do not need to practice conventional processes of meditation to attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for he remains with them through thick and thin. Therefore, a saint like Narada, understanding the difference between transcendentalists and pure devotees, always prays that the Lord will be pleased with him. I would like to make a point here about inconceivable. I heard Gopi say a very nice thing about what inconceivable means. Shall I? You don't mind? He said it doesn't mean that you can't understand him. It means that you can't understand everything about him, and nobody can understand everything about him, but you can understand enough to go back to him. So inconceivable actually means no one can understand everything about him.
51. My dear King Yudhishthira, long, long ago in history, a demon known as Maya Danava, who was very expert in technical knowledge, reduced the reputation of Lord Shiva. In that situation, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, saved Lord Shiva. Purport: Lord Shiva is known as Mahadeva, the most exalted demigod. Thus, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that although Lord Brahma did not know the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva could have known them. This historical incident proves that Lord Shiva derives power from Lord Krishna, the Param Brahman. 52. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, for what reason did the demon Maya Danava vanquish Lord Shiva's reputation? How did Lord Krishna save Lord Shiva and expand his reputation again? Kindly describe these incidents. Narada Muni said, when the demigods, who are always powerful by the mercy of Lord Krishna, fought with the Asuras were defeated, and therefore they took shelter of Maya Danava, the greatest of the demons. Maya Danava, the great leader of the demons, prepared 3 invisible residences and gave them to the demons. These dwellings resembled airplanes made of gold, silver, and iron. They were contained uncommon paraphernalia. My dear King Yudhishthira, because of these 3 dwellings, the commanders of the demons remained invisible to the demigods. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the demons, remembering their former enmity, began to vanquish the 3 worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems.
Give them an inch and they'll take them away. 56. Thereafter, when the demons had begun to destroy the higher planetary systems, the rulers of those planets went to Lord Shiva, fully surrendered unto him, and said, Dear Lord, we demigods living in the 3 worlds are about to be vanquished. We are your followers. Kindly save us. 57. The most powerful and able Lord Shiva reassured them and said, Do not be afraid. Then he fixed his arrows to his bow and released them toward the 3 residences occupied by the demons. 58. No longer be seen. 59. Attacked by Lord Shiva's golden arrows, all the demoniac inhabitants of those 3 dwellings lost their lives and fell down. Then the great mystic Maya Danava dropped the demons into a nectarian well that he had created. Purport: the Asuras are generally extremely powerful because of their mystic yogic power. However, as Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yoginam gate atmana shadhavan bhajate yomam sammeyuktatamomataha. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. The actual purpose of mystic yoga is to concentrate one's attention fully on the personality of Godhead Krishna and always think of him, madgate nantaratmana. To attain such perfection, one must undergo a certain process, hatha yoga, and through this yoga system, the practitioner achieves some uncommon mystic power. The Asuras, however, instead of becoming devotees of Krishna, utilize this mystic power for their personal sense gratification. Maya Danava, for example, is mentioned here as Mahayogi, a great mystic, but his business was to help the Asuras. Nowadays we are actually seeing that there are some yogis who cater to the senses of materialists, and there are impostors who advertise themselves as God. Maya Danava was such a person, a god among the demons, and he could perform some wonderful feats, one of which is described here. He made a well filled with nectar and dipped the Asuras into that nectarian well. This nectar was known as Mrita Sanjivayita. Mrita Sanjivayita. Mrita Sanjivayita, for it could bring a yata mrita sanjivayit. Some change. That's the Sanskrit, or you're reading the verse? It's been corrected.
I hope that explains a lot. We've been taking the wrong thing.
Oh yes. You can't change. You can't change. You gotta bring a dead body to life. Mrita sanjivayani. No. Mrita sanjivani. Sorry. Mrita sanjivani is also an Ayurvedic preparation. It is a kind of liquor that invigorates even a person on the verge of death. Text 60. When the dead bodies of the demons came in touch with the nectar, their bodies became invincible to thunderbolts. Endowed with great strength, they got up like lightning penetrating clouds.
One. Thank you, Huntley. Seeing Lord Shiva very much aggrieved and disappointed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, considered how to stop this nuisance created by Maya Danava. Then Lord Brahma became a calf and Lord Vishnu a cow. And at noon they entered the residences and drank all the nectar in the well. The demons could see the calf and cow, but because the illumination... The demons could see the calf and cow, but because of the illusion created by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demons could not forbid them. The great mystic Maya Danava became aware that the calf and cow were drinking the nectar, and he could understand this to be the unseen power of providence. Thus he spoke to the demons who were grievously lamenting. Devo suro naro nyova neshvaro stiha kashchana atmano nyasyava dishtam daivano pohitum dvayaho. Maya Danava said, one of my favorite verses, what has been destined by the Supreme Lord for oneself, for others, or for both oneself and others, cannot be undone anywhere or by anyone, whether one be a demigod, a demon, a human being, or anyone else. Purport. The Supreme Lord is one, Krishna, the Vishnu Tattva. Krishna expands himself into Vishnu Tattva personal expansions, Vamsha, who control everything. Maya Danava said, however I plan, you plan, or both of us plan, the Lord has planned. The Lord has planned what is to happen. No one's plan will be successful without his sanction. We may make our own various plans, but unless they are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, they will never be successful. Hundreds and millions of plans are made by all kinds of living entities, but without the sanction of the Supreme Lord, they are futile.
I can't believe that happened so fast. How did that happen? Really? Narada Muni continued, thereafter, Lord Krishna, by his own personal potency, consisting of religion, knowledge, renunciation, opulence, austerity, education, and activities, equipped Lord Shiva with all the necessary paraphernalia, such as a chariot, a charioteer, a flag, horses, elephants, a bow, a shield, and arrows. When Lord Shiva was fully equipped in this way, he sat down on the chariot with his arrows and bow to fight with the demons. Purport. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 12:13-16, Vaishnavanam yatakshambhu, Lord Shiva is the best of the Vaishnavas, the devotees of Lord Krishna. Indeed, he is one of the Mahajanas, the 12 authorities on Vaishnava philosophy, Swayambur Naradak Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu, etc. Lord Krishna is always prepared to help all the Mahajans and devotees in every respect, Kauntiya pratijanihi nami bhakta pranashyati. Although Lord Shiva is very powerful, he lost a battle to the Asuras, and therefore he was morose and disappointed. However, because he is one of the chief devotees of the Lord personally equipped him with all the paraphernalia for war. The devotee therefore must serve the Lord sincerely, and Krishna is always in the background to protect him, and if need be, to equip him fully to fight with his enemy. For devotees, there is no scarcity of knowledge or material requisites for spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. 67. My dear King Yudhishthir, the most powerful Lord Shiva joined the arrows to his bow, and at noon he set fire to all 3 residences of the demons, and thus destroyed them. Therefore he is called Tripurari. Text 68. Seated in their airplanes in the sky, the inhabitants of the higher planetary systems beat many kettle drums. The demigods, saints, pitas, siddhas, and various great personalities showered flowers on the head of Lord Shiva, wishing him all victory, and the apsaras began to dance and chant with great pleasure. Text 69. O King Yudhishthir, thus Lord Shiva is known as Tripurari, the annihilator of the 3 dwellings of the demons, because he burnt these dwellings to ashes. Being worshipped by the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva returned to his own abode. Text 70. The Lord Sri Krishna appeared as a human being, yet he performed many uncommon and wonderful pastimes by his own potency. How can I say more about his activities than what has already been said by great saintly persons? Everyone can be purified by his activities simply by hearing about them from the right source. Purport. Bhagavad Gita and all the Vedic literatures fully explain that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna appears in human society as an ordinary human being, but acts very uncommonly for the well-being of the entire world. One should not be influenced by the illusory energy and think Lord Krishna to be an ordinary human being. Those who really seek the absolute truth come to the understanding that Krishna is everything. Vasudeva Ksevamiti. Such great souls are very rare. Nonetheless, if one studies the entire Bhagavad Gita as it is, Krishna is very easy to understand. The Krishna consciousness movement is just trying to make Krishna known all over the world as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, how's that for a mission statement? I'm going to read this again. All righty. I'm going to read that again. Absolute truth, come to the understanding that Krishna is everything. Vasudeva Ksevamiti. Such great souls are very rare. Nonetheless, if one studies the entire Bhagavad Gita as it is, Krishna is very easy to understand. The Krishna consciousness movement is just trying to make Krishna known all over the world as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. If people take this movement seriously, their lives as human beings will be successful. Thus the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Prahlad, the best among exalted devotees. Oh, Krishna. That was about as good as it gets. Eh?
Reflections? Yes.
Just wanted to ask if this 64th verse was the one you said one of your favorite, which you use when it's most difficult. You quote it sometimes in classes that this is the verse. Yeah, the 64 is a verse when the most difficult time comes. You can use that. Was that or some other?
Oh no, it's a different one. It's from the fourth canto, Prita Maharaj.
Oh, okay.
Although this is, a nice verse to remember. Whatever has been destined for oneself, or for others, or for both oneself and others, cannot be undone anywhere by anyone at any time, whether one be a demigod, a human being, or anyone else. Whatever has been destined by the Supreme for oneself, or for others, or for both oneself and others, cannot be undone anywhere at any time, whether one be a demigod, a human being, or anyone else. That sounds legalistic. That's like when you walk in the door, that's on the sign. It's like, this is our final policy, sir. It's not going to change. Mukharavind, Prabhu?
Sorry, just to understand this statement more better, like even when Prabhupada was in his last time, then he requested that if Krishna you wish that you can elongate the life. So how this both statement reconcile that if it is destined, then how the prayers works? And
well, just because it's destined, destiny can change. We heard that earlier in a purport that liberated soul is not. Prabhupada quoted that Yastvindra Gopamata Vendra Mohosa Karma Bandhanu Rupa Palabhaja Namatanoti Karmani Nirdahati Kintucha Bhakti Bhaja. The karma of and Iha Yasya Haridasya, etc. So he said that just because it's destined for a normal living entity, one who's taken shelter of the Lord, Krishna changes destiny. So Prabhupada was said he was negotiating with Krishna about staying, and he said, if Krishna wants me to leave, what can I do? But I'll ask him, and back and forth.
But in this verse it says like for the demigod, no one can, and if it is destined, it is no one.
It's different for a liberated soul.
So this verse is not talking about the liberated soul. This is more for the common person.
Well, ultimately, even for the liberated soul, whatever Krishna decides, that's what's going to happen. But Krishna takes into consideration the desires of his pure devotees. I mean, look at Prahlad Maharaj. He didn't really have any desires, but Krishna told him, I want you to stay here and rule the demons for so many millions of years. Dhruva Maharaj also.
Also, sometimes when Prabhupada was confronted with that kind of...
Turn it up a little bit, because...
No,
just turn it up. It won't last.
Me or that?
Okay, thank you.
I won't last or it won't last?
Keeping the microphone in front of you won't last. It'll go...
Why?
Because you're meditating so deeply on the Lord.
Why? One of these days, Alice... I forget what I was going to say.
Okay.
Sometimes when Prabhupada was confronted with that kind of inevitability or that kind of statement, kind of providential statement, he would say, yes, but it doesn't say when. In other words, if you hear like we're hearing, you're going back to Godhead. It doesn't say exactly when, not like right now, this moment. Although it could be. But like Prabhu was saying, there's so many things that could happen between now and that time that happens, and it's not like a... Yeah, I know. First you want me to put it in my mouth, and then you want to take it away from me. What's going on here? I'm becoming schizophrenic here.
Becoming. nobody coming.
In 51, text 51, pastime of Nrsingadev just kind of like it's finished, wrapped up, and then it jumps straight to this Mayadanava, like out of the blue, or is there any indication of how or why this comes up all of a sudden? Oh, by the way, there's this extra story I wanted to tell you, or something like that.
No, there was a statement there. Let it.
Nobody can hear you, online or outside, or even in here. Go ahead.
Wasn't that an example that Narada Muni made so that he can show how Krishna takes care of the devotees? And he mentioned...
And how he takes care of them, and he gave this as an example. Is that what you're saying? Could be, but it sounds logical, but the transition statement wasn't there anywhere saying this means one thing to another. We have something here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
No, we don't really have something, but I've just noticed that what Krishna said before, what Narada Muni said before going into the Tripurari Lila was about how the Lord is so happy to be the servant of his devotees. So it seems to be the connecting point.
So it's, yeah. What
was that? What you just said?
Mahendra Prabhu is saying,
okay.
Right?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Okay, good. That kind of helps. What else? Other things? Reflections? Okay, go ahead.
I had a reflection from the previous section when Maharaj mentioned about hearing. Regularly, if we hear, then our spiritual intelligence will develop. And I remembered how the story of last days of Srila Prabhupada, when he asked Giriraj Maharaj, the dead of night, and asked him how will this movement continue, and he said it will require intelligence. And we may I was wondering many times what exactly that means, what kind of intelligence. But when you said it, it means spiritual intelligence, which will come by long hearing, regular hearing.
He's also said organization, not just intelligence. Go ahead.
Srila Prabhupada also said, I was in the room when he said it, just go on discussing Srimad Bhagavatam and everything will remain clear. Among yourselves. Just go on discussing Srimad Bhagavatam among yourselves and everything will remain clear. So I take it that means we will be given the spiritual intelligence, by doing that.
Also, another historical piece of information I got from Abhiram Prabhu, because I was talking about this. Abhiram was there as Prabhupada's nurse, and he said Prabhupada was asking other people the same thing. And the way he was saying it was, it will go on. That was his question. Sometimes it gets paraphrased in different ways, but Abhiram said that's what Prabhupada was at. He said he even asked him, and he asked Giriraj Maharaj and others who came in, because it was on Prabhupada's mind before he would possibly be leaving. But that's how he said it. It will go on. And there are various instructions Prabhupada gave at the end. You can't isolate just one and say, okay, that's it. Let's drop everything else and, like Org Dev, let's get, that's all important and everything like that. But you have to also take and consider what Maharaj just said, which is also enshrined in the last purports of the Bhagavatam that Prabhupada spoke about how to solve problems by sitting together and discussing Bhagavatam. And he said it in other places as well.
Right. It stopped working. Oh. Yeah, that statement that I just said and the timing of when he would have actually done that statement in the purport towards the end of would have been very close.
It will go on. Anything else? Okay, we're going to get started on the perfect society for social classes. Text number 1. Shukadeva Goswami continued, after hearing about the activities and character of Prahlad Maharaj, which are adored, and thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. Where did you come from? Leho ma. Shimsatsui Samsui Po Mangkok Hominton, New Territory, or way up on the peak? Doje. Ilo Ping An. Bless you. You know why you get blessings when you sneeze? Because all the systems in your body stop, including your heart. It all gets suspended. And then for that second, like, anything can happen. So it's like you need a blessing when it's we're always, although I think, and I'm going to live forever in this body, even when I sneeze, heart stops, everything, like anything can happen at that point. So it's like, we take it for granted, bless you or whatever, but it's like at any second. Where did what come from? The sneeze or the blessing? Oh, the tradition? I don't know. I couldn't trace it out. Christianity. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Chuta. Shukadeva Goswami continued, after hearing about the activities and character of Prahlad Maharaj, which are adored and discussed among great personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, Yudhishthira Maharaj, the most respectful king among exalted personalities, again inquired from the great Saint Narada Muni in a mood of great pleasure. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, my dear Lord, I wish to hear from you about the principles of religion by which one can attain the ultimate goal of life, devotional service. I wish to hear about the general occupational duties of human society and the system of social and spiritual advancement known as Varnashrama Dharma. Purport: Sanatan Dharma means devotional service. The word Sanatan refers to that which is eternal, which does not change but continues in all circumstances. We have several times explained what the eternal occupational duty of the living being is. Indeed, it has been explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas. The real occupational duty of the living entity is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even if one prefers to deviate from this principle, he remains a servant because that is his eternal position. But one serves Maya, the illusory energy, material energy. The Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, is an attempt to guide human society to serving the personality of Godhead instead of serving the material world with no real profit. Our actual experience is that every man, animal, bird, and beast, indeed, every living entity is engaged in rendering service. Even though one's body or one's superficial religion may change, every living entity is always engaged in the service of someone. Therefore, the mentality of service is called the eternal occupational duty. This eternal occupational duty can be organized through the institution of Varnashrama, in which there are 4 Varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and 4 ashramas, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Thus, Yudhishthira Maharaj inquired from Narada Muni about the principles of Sanatan Dharma for the benefit of human society. O best of the Brahmanas, you are directly the son of Prajapati, Lord Brahma. Because of your austerities, mystic yoga, and trance, you are considered the best of all of Lord Brahma's sons. 4. No one is superior to you in peaceful life and mercy, and no one knows better than you how to execute devotional service or how to become the best of the Brahmanas. Therefore, you know all the principles of confidential religious life, and no one knows them better. Yudhishthira Maharaj knew that Narada Muni is the supreme spiritual master of human society who can teach the path of spiritual liberation leading to the understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, it is for this purpose that Narada Muni compiled his Bhakti Sutra and gave directions in the Narada Pancharatra. To learn about religious principles and the perfection of life, one must take instruction from the disciplic succession of Narada Muni. I was just thinking about some talks I heard from Hridayananda Maharaj about the history of Buddhism, and he was saying how the actual recorded information from the teachings of the Buddha, who is kind of it's a little amorphous about who he actually was and stuff, are very minimal. There are very few actual solid things that he said. Meanwhile, there's a worldwide trend towards Buddhism just based on a few little teachings that were there, and then a lot of extrapolation after that. And then you get what we're starting with, which is a much wider base. I mean, by millions of yojanas, starting with Srimad Bhagavatam. And then when I heard this, the Narada Bhakti Sutra and so forth, you just consider how the best of all the devotees have actually codified the process of religion, and how that bodes well for actually implanting the system of Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, into the whole world because of the literatures and how well organized they are compared to so many other world religions. Our Krishna consciousness movement is directly in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya. Narada Muni received instructions from Lord Brahma and in turn transmitted the instructions to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva instructed his son Shukadeva Goswami, who spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. The Krishna consciousness movement is based on Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita because Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Shukadeva Goswami and Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna. There is no difference between them. If we strictly follow the principles of disciplic succession, we are certainly on the right path of spiritual liberation or eternal engagement in devotional service. 5. Sri Narada Muni said, after first offering my obeisances unto Lord Krishna, the protector of the religious principles of all living entities, let me explain the principles of the eternal religious system of which I have heard from the mouth of Narayana. Purport. The word Aja refers to Krishna, who explains in Bhagavad Gita 4.6, Ajopisan avyayatma, I am ever existing, and thus I never take birth. There is no change to my existence. There is no change in my existence. And I just wanted to comment on the word ashrama, because we, in the second chapter of the first canto, Shrama Evahi Kevalam is mentioned when one's occupational duty doesn't lead to an increased desire to hear the messages of Krishna. Then Sutta Goswami says Shrama Evahi Kevalam, which means it's useless labor. He says so emphatically. Ashrama means the place where there's no shrama, because ashrama. So it's like, a society that is protected from shrama, making sure that everybody, according to their propensities, psychophysiological natures, can work in such a way that they're not engaged in shrama, the ashramas. And that ends, yes, Prabhu?
I was curious if an acharya gave that, or where you heard that, or there's a history to it, or personal realization.
I heard it from a Sanskritist. That ends tonight's reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we thank everyone for attending. Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, Bo, Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripasinabhevacha patitanam pavanebhyo. Maharaj wants to explain something about the ending. No, explain it. When you go like that, you're supposed to stop, right?
Yeah.
See, he's been disappointed 3 nights in a row, because when you go like this, that means it stops at, like, completely. There's no continuation. That's why he walks away here feeling frustrated, angry.
Wait a second, that's a little bit of an extrapolation there. But I will say that my conductor, when I was in the UCLA wind ensemble, name was, what was his name? Can't remember his name.
Freddie Hubbard.
No, he was very famous.
He's famous.
Yeah. Clarence Sawhill.
Oh, Clarence Sawhill.
Clarence Sawhill. He had not only perfect pitch, but he could tell anybody who was out of tune, even this much of any instrument, and he would point it out, and he would replace it, and then everything would come together. And so that's what it means, to come together, when everybody's on the exact same page. And then when you have, when it stops, all exactly at the same time, there's a force that comes from it, and it actually perpetuates the experience.
Take 2. Gaur Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo Bo Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo. Much better, yeah. Clarence Sawhill will be very pleased with us.
That's pretty good.